Hi, how's it going, guys? This is Chr0n0Tr, and I want to do something a little random. I know my channel has games, viewer mail, and all that. I wanted to add to that by doing a rant section. So I rant about random stuff while there's random footage in the background playing. So I don't know, I don't have a webcam, so I can't film myself. But I don't know. It's just I've seen some videos on YouTube where it's like the ranting about let's look, today's topic. I'll just blurt it out. Today's topic is television. The television I'm talking about is cartoons, and the cartoons I'm talking about are what I used to watch as a kid and what is on TV right now. And I'm basically going to be discussing Cartoon Network. So I know there's lots of videos on YouTube, but whenever I go to watch them, they'll be talking about it, and I'll be like, yeah, I get what you're saying, and then they'll say, I hate all these shows. I'm like, dude, right on. And then they'll say, but I like this and this and this, and at that point I lose them completely. So I want to discuss my views and hope the footage I'm using isn't too distracting. Point of talking while using footage is to keep you entertained while you're listening. If it's not, let me know in the comments, but I can't really fix that. So I might even be playing Left 4 Dead in the background, but right now I'm just sitting here talking. So Cartoon Network, jeez, where do I begin? I'm gonna go ahead and point out that I basically hate their network now. Like, not just like, okay, I don't want to see this today, and I go on the next day and watch another cartoon that's not the same. No, I mean, I hate them to the point of if I see their network when I'm scrolling through shows, if I go through their network and I see Cartoon Network playing a show, and chances are it's 5 in the morning when I'm going on Cartoon Network so I can watch Looney Tunes. No, I'm not talking about that new version of Looney Tunes where the jokes aren't funny and all that. I'm talking about Looney Tunes like Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Wile E. Coyote, the Roadrunner, all those, like old, like classics. I can watch those any day. I don't even care if it's a freaking rerun. But so the only time I'm really looking for shows is on Cartoon Network are usually Looney Tunes, or Bugs Bunny, as most people put it. But I'm just let's talk about when I was a lot younger. So when I was a lot younger, I'd wake up on a Sunday morning, and of course when I was younger, I didn't sleep in all the time. But that's a whole nother story. But I'd wake up at like 6 in the morning, and I'll flip on the light, and suddenly I'll just get this feeling of like pleasure. Like, I'm gonna go sit down in front of that TV, eat a bagel, and watch Ed, and Eddie, or watch Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, and I'm going to just And so I'd run out, make a bagel, sit down, watch TV till my parents got up, and it was awesome. Now, if I choose to get up early, which is one in a million, I'll get up and I'll walk out and I'll turn on Cartoon Network, and I'll be like, I'll get the opposite. I'll get like the good feeling of not watching that, because most of the stuff on Cartoon Network is crap. I mean, it's not just certain shows, it's every single show they have. I can honestly say the only one show that is still still good to watch is Mad. That's it. That's freaking it. When they play movies on their network, that's borderline. Cartoon Network is Cartoon Network, not game shows, I mean, don't get me wrong. Game show, the hole in the wall thing, while it lasted, that was a pretty good show. Just don't put it on a network all about cartoons. I mean, ever since Hanna-Barbera, I don't know if Hanna-Barbera started Cartoon Network. I know that, they started the old shows. That, man, jeez. When Cartoon Network does their Cartoon Planet, which is really extremely annoying. But when you get past all the, comical jokes and all that, when you get into the shows that they play, that's a good, I like that block. Just like 90, or Nickelodeon does 90s or all that. That's awesome to watch. But, yeah, when I went on, and, when I went on to watch cartoons, most of the things that are on the main blocks are either Adventure Time, regular show, or The World of Gumball, and I can't stand any of those shows. Let's just jump into one of them. Let's choose, I think, the worst out of all of them, which should be World of Gumball. When I first saw the advertisement for that show, I was completely disgusted with Adventure Time. Regular show came on, it wasn't as bad as Adventure Time, but it still sucked. And then Gumball came on, and I think the first commercial I watched, I was kind of interested, and I didn't really catch any episodes, but then I finally decided, why not try the show out? It was a few episodes in, and so I saw The World of Gumball, and this happened to be the episode where, what was it? It was like Gumball did something, and it was a lazy contest or something, and so I guess it was against them and their dad or something like that, and so they tried to out-lazy him, which is, I could see that being something kids would like, but it just got stupid, and so they had to get help from the master. And so this box-headed guy, I don't remember his name, I only saw one episode before I just quit the whole show completely. And so they got help from this guy who has a box for a head, don't ask why. It's creative, but and they're like, I guess apparently in his past, he was the master of being lazy, but he got a life, got a girlfriend, got a job, and all that. And so the whole 5 or 10 minutes of the cartoon was Gumball and his friend or brother or whatever, some fish, rabbit, cat relationship, which kids will understand, but someone like me will be watching it okay, so you have a mom that's a cat and a dad that's a rabbit, and you get a fish for... Mom's got some splaining to do. But anyway, so they got his help, and he said, no, I have a girlfriend, I have a life, I have a job, I can't help you. And so 5 or 10 minutes of the show was them begging him, and it was they're saying please, for 5 or 10 minutes in a really annoying tone. And so, at that point I was really annoyed, but I was like, okay, I'll stick it through it, see what's going on. So then they bug him so much to where he loses his job. And I'm like, if that was me, I'd throw those kids out. Okay, so then this guy went to meet up with his girlfriend, and they started saying please and annoying him, and she broke up with him. And I was like, at this point, I freaking wanted to shoot the two kid characters. I'm like, if that was me, oh my god. Anyways, and I mean, it sounds wrong, but if you guys saw the episode, you'd feel the same thing I'm feeling. And so then they went to his apartment and started begging him. And then finally he was evicted. He lost everything. And then he became this past self. He was really fat and lazy. And then the kids got their way. And I'm thinking, what is this teaching kids? I mean, let's say little Billy walks up to the TV and turns on the show. And little Billy's probably like 7 or 8. And you see this episode about these kids bugging this guy. And finally they get their way in the end. Which I could see how a little kid like that would laugh. But then once they laugh, once they get that response, they get it stuck in their head. And so then they go off and they see a McDonald's commercial, double whammy. And so then they go, they use the show to go beg their parents to go to McDonald's, which McDonald's is all about getting into kids' minds, to get them to go to McDonald's, to get their parents to go to McDonald's. That's why no McDonald's commercials have hamburgers in them. It's all apple fries and all that. But we'll do that in the rant. And so they beg their parents, and if their parents aren't really like structurally like, let's just say if they're not good at saying no, then that weakens them down. And so every time the kid asks, it's basically leading to a spoiled lifestyle. And all could have been avoided if that cartoon would have done something about it, and it didn't. And so at that point, even before the episode ended, as soon as they got their way and this guy lost everything, I'm just like, nope, click. Went on Nickelodeon, and fortunately for me, a classic SpongeBob was on. It was the it was I forgot the episode. It was with the squeaky boots. It's like I turned it to that show. I'm like, I could really enjoy this. But yeah, so that show sucked. I never watched another episode of that. And if I came in and someone left the TV on, I would either change it. I think when people see the networks, they know how many people watch their show. So I think they can tell when someone clicks to it. I think like their network provider like gives them a list or number or whatever. And so when I change the channel or turn off the TV, I usually change the channel from the show that's bad. So even if I don't know, I'm just OCD like that. But I turned the TV off and walked away. I really did. And so that show was completely trashy. So let's talk about regular shows. It's going to be a long video. But you guys can skip parts, do whatever. So regular show. Now, when I first saw the pilot episode, it was kind of funny. I'm going to be honest. I think it was a pilot where they got the couch in, and I know Pops was throwing away an old couch that was really stiff, and so they were going to throw it away, and Mordecai and Rigby walk up and like, this is the coolest couch ever. And so they sit on it, and it was it wasn't poorly animated, but like it was a pilot, so like they were really poorly drawn. And so when they laughed, like their whole body shook. It was just so stupid. And they're like, oh, it sounds like an old man's farting. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of funny. And then it got out of control, like, how all their shows go. And so then, what was Skips or whatever? His voice actor, because it was the first episode ever. He's like really like robot. He's like, get out of here. And I was laughing so hard. It was so cheesy. And I walked away feeling kind of okay about that show. And the second episode came on, and it had like it wasn't the second episode ever. It was like the second one I watched. It had like zombies, and I'm thinking, okay, Cartoon Network is more like 10 and up, but it had zombies and stuff, and it was kind of gory. I mean, this one guy got punched in the chest and thinks someone pulled out his guts or something. And I'm thinking, this is really too much. I mean, I watched like all the Saw movies, so I should know what too much is. But I mean, for a kid younger than me, that's kind of too much. So that show kind of got stupid from there on. Plus, it kind of got like, I mean, I'm a religious man, but they kind of touched on some stuff, and I was like, nope. Same with Adventure Time. Besides it being utterly stupid, they kind of touched on the whole demonic underworld. I was going to stay away from that show completely. Plus, it was geared towards, I think it was kind of geared towards, like, girls, like teenage girls, or guys, because they got the whole vampire thing going, and they got the whole, like, I don't know. So, at that point, Cartoon Network was dead. And then came Mad. And Mad, I think Mad was It was actually originally a comic, and I actually own a couple of copies, really old copies. But this show is kind of cool. I liked how they made fun of their own shows and other, other stuff like that. So that was kind of a cool show, and that's still kind of been my all-time favorite of Cartoon Network, besides their Cartoon Planet. So those shows are pretty cool. Or actually, they're bad, but Mad is cool. At that point, I stopped watching all their shows except for Mad, and then came the Looney Tunes show. This was basically a remake. Oh, jeez, who did Bugs Bunny? I should know this. Who voiced him originally? I forgot that. I know who it is, but I forgot who it was. I keep thinking Fritz. I don't know why. But so they redid the Looney Tunes show. They made it more modern, of course. And it wasn't funny. I mean, I got into it for a while because it was freaking Bugs Bunny. But then they started, it wasn't funny. It's like they'd say something, and then the music would go, da-da-da-da, and it'd go to commercial, and I'd be sitting there like, what the hell was that? What was that funny? I don't know, Bugs Bunny, no, they were, one of them, they were like, it was Speedy Gonzales in like this pizza place with Porky, or something, and then Porky, I think, wanted a piece of pizza, and Speedy's like, no, and then Bugs Bunny took a piece, and he's like, no, and like, da-da-da, and it changed to a commercial, and I just got really tired of that show. It wasn't funny. I mean, oh, and then they started doing oh god, when they did the 3D Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner remake, that made me hate the show even more. They use 3D, it's poorly animated, it's not funny, and it just kills the whole thing. So I waited 5 or 6 hours, and I switched on to the morning block Looney Tunes Originals, and watched Wile E. Coyote in its awesome 2D, cartoonish, funny, just, yeah. So, screw that. And then they did the Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. That was crappy. It was all about modernized themes, romance. There was no mysteries. I mean, there is, but it's stupid. There was a whole backstory. Scooby-Doo, the original Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And, what was the one where it had the stars? Was that just Scooby-Doo stars or something? But those were so good. And then they did this one, and it sucked. So I stopped watching that. Then they remade Tom and Jerry. You don't freaking touch Tom and Jerry. Scooby-Doo, you don't touch Scooby-Doo. But Tom and Jerry, there's a fine border between Tom and Jerry. They remade it, and stupid. All the movies are freaking stupid. So, all in all, I think the last funny show before they got... I mean, the show was random, but I think Chowder was... I mean, by that time they were starting to get random and not funny, but still Chowder had its moments that were pretty funny. So... And some of it made sense most of the time, but I think... I don't know the list of shows, how shows go, but Chowder was it for me. That was it. And so... I just quit. Honestly, I just quit. And because Cartoon Network is a bitch, Boomerang, you have to pay like $100 more, and you get Boomerang, along with other channels. Boomerang does not come with the standard channel deal, which is, to my knowledge, just with DirecTV. So a couple of my friends who also are into what I'm into, they were kind of mad because their provider didn't do that either. So, yeah. So if I want to watch old shows, I have to go to my, grandparents' house because they have a whole package. I watch Boomerang, put on some Flintstones, Jetsons, but not. So I think that's about it. I mean, Cartoon Network. So it's pros. They made Cartoon Planet, which is stupid altogether, but it still plays classic shows. They do Mad, which could go stupid at any moment. So that's kind of like a ticking time bomb. And that's about it. Now let's talk about the past. Like Excuse me, guys. Like I said, this video is only about Cartoon Network. The next one will be about Nick, which I go on hours and hours for. But let's talk about what made Cartoon Network awesome. Let's talk about a simple thing as changing from commercial to cartoon. So every single TV show has like a block program where it'll say, you're watching Bob Marley does a backflip. Coming up next, Bob Marley does 2 backflips. Later, Bob Marley smokes some pot and then sings. So you kind of got the block. Cartoon Network was so awesome that they made this thing. I know many remember it. I do. In fact, I loved watching it. It made commercials awesome. It was Cartoon City. It's where every single Hanna-Barbera and Cartoon Network original cartoon, but mostly the old ones, they got together in one city living together, and they would have like a minute or two of the characters interacting in some funny or awesome way, and it'd say, this is what's on now, next, later, and then you're watching Cartoon Network. So one of my favorites of all that I remember the most was the Professor, which is from Powerpuff Girls. The Professor was trying to get into his car that was locked, and the keys were locked inside. And so, number 1 from Codename Kids Next Door walked up and was trying to help him get in. And then Samurai Jack, I mean, it was just so awesome. It made watching commercials kind of fun. Then they got rid of it, and they made the flicks, and then they got really bland. And, oh, before I forget, Johnny Test. I forgot about that show. I'm almost glad that I wish I didn't remember it, because that's also a bad show. But anyways, so then they got kind of stupid with the block changing. It wasn't creative anymore, so screw that. So that was one thing I really liked. The other thing, let's talk about shows. Let's see how many shows I can remember from when I was growing up. Okay, that's just any random order, doesn't matter. So, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Samurai Jack, Chowder. I'll think of, those are the ones that are off the top of my head. I'll have to think about it. Oh, of course, Codename Kids Next Door, Powerpuff Girls, Ed and Eddie. Some people don't like that show. I actually kind of liked it, although they yelled way too much. Ooh, here's one most people forgot. Camp Lazlo, which that one was getting kind of random. Well, not really. It was pretty good. I like that show. Let's see. I have to think about it for a minute. Well, of course, they played the original Scooby-Doos, which made the Cartoon Network even better. Ooh, Billy and Mandy. Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Man, that show was so dark and so twisted, but man, was it funny. Gotta think back a little farther. Huh. I'll update the list as I go, but that's 10 out of a lot of them. So, that's a lot of shows. And then you got the old classics like the Flintstones, the Jetsons. I think Johnny Bravo. Yeah, I think Johnny Bravo was playing. It was playing around that time. So yeah, Johnny Bravo is one of them too. So you got all those cool shows, and then came the crappy stuff. Oh yeah, 16. That was on. That was. I guess that was okay, because it was all about teenagers and stuff, and I should know how it is to be a teenager. So that was a pretty good show. Oh, I also forgot that the whole Total Drama series, I hated that so much. And I actually heard that Cartoon Network imported that from Canada. That's why you have Owen's shirt has a Canadian leaf on it. It wasn't Cartoon Network made, which sucks. So yeah, that sucks. So yeah. think that's all I'm going to talk about. I'll probably end this recording and it'll be like, hey, I remember this, and oh yeah, this show and this show sucks. But all in all, as a person who's grown up with a lot of shows, I could say Cartoon Network was a gold mine at first. Then the producer switched out. He raped the supply of gold, and now what we have left is coal and rock and all this stuff. So Cartoon Network, I'd have to say it's a terrible channel, honestly. Screw Cartoon Network. So I hope you guys enjoyed my little rant. Stay tuned for Nickelodeon rant, which is... I grew up more on Nickelodeon than Cartoon Network, because there was some good stuff on Nickelodeon. But, oh, and I also I kind of got into Toonami. When I first got on the Cartoon Network, of course I didn't. I was, younger. But, no, actually, Toonami... No, I was into Toonami from the start. Toonami was pretty cool. Well, Toonami isn't a show, it's a block. But they had some good shows. I think my favorite being Cowboy Bebop. I never really kind of got into Bleach. But, Naruto I got into a little bit. But, yeah. So, Toonami was cool, too. So, which I actually heard they brought back. So, that's kind of cool. So, anyways, I will see you guys in future episodes of games, random stuff, and rants. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Chr0n0Tr out.